All right, we are back at it again. I am streaming my creative process as we explore this opportunity to collaborate with a relatively relatively well-known creator here on the platform. I'm not going to reveal who it is. I think I did in the last video by accident, but I'm not going to talk about that in case this doesn't pan out, just so it's not as embarrassing for me. But what I will do is I will continue working on the project now that they've reached out to me. They said that it was looking pretty good. They gave me some dimensions, some targets to hit, and we love to see it. So let's just jump into it. So I've got the reference image pulled up for you guys, and I've been given a couple more dimensions, like I said, through Instagram. So let me pull that up real quick. What we want to see, Dylan, well, there we go. They shot me. Yeah, okay. So these guys sent me a couple critical dimensions. He wants the side panel. We'll just start right there. Side panel to be 18 to 20 inches. The cool thing is, just by eyeballing, that's awesome. So just going off of what I could see in the picture and on online in the reference, we are right in the ballpark for what he's asking for. So he said 18 to 20 on the side panel there. Let's check this out. He wants the top and bottom wings spoilers to be closer together, which I agree with. This looks kind of funky. Is this constrained at all? I don't think it is. We're looking at... Oh, what else did he send me? Okay, so he says it's 41 inches wide. What did we go with on the width last time? 32. Shoot. That dude's gonna be large. Bottom of the wing to the ground. 27 inches. There's enough information here for me to derive things. I'm just not good at not knowing. So if you'll remember last time, we built up the rest of our components. Our cross beams between the two side plates are directly linked to this constraint right here, which is currently 32 inches. We're gonna bump that up to 41, I guess. That seems quite large, but it could make the whole thing... Oh yeah, that actually looks a lot better. Okay, so and what I'm doing, I'm just clicking any straight edge here, and down at the bottom, why did I say that looks better? It's the exact same. 32 inches there. Oh, you know what it is? Stupid numlock. I promise I'm a professional. Okay. And for whatever reason, Solidworks hates my Razer mouse. Where did I put my other mouse? There we go. Woefully unprepared for tonight. But you gotta seize these opportunities. You only get one shot. Alrighty, that is freaking ridiculous. That looks insane, but those are the dimensions he gave us. That's what we're going with. He's let's talk about this for a sec. Okay, he says, that sounds awesome. I appreciate it. I can take some pictures and measurements. We get some pictures and measurements. The wing is 41 inches wide. Gap between the top and the bottom wing looks too big. Yeah. What do we do about that? Do we bring the bottom up or do we bring the top down? That's the thing. Because if we're at 18 on the height still, right? Barely. Yeah, he says 18's on the small side. Then we got a Zoom call tentatively planned for next week where we'll hash out some other details, like mounting. One thing that I want to avoid is any extra work for these guys. I want it to be as easy to pop it on their race car as possible. Lucky for us, if you look at the reference image, there's two, on the lower cross member, there's two black J-hook mounting bars that go through and around that lower valance or lower cross member, and they have those two bars on the race car, so we're just going to integrate with those. He says maybe have the bottom wing 3 to 4 inches off the top of the chassis, and then the top wing 8 inches above that. So from the top of the chassis, he gives me a dimension of, I'm not sure, but okay, all right, hang on. If you don't have a pen and paper at your desk, you are not prepared. So let's check this out. He gives me a dimension to the top of the existing spoiler of 13 inches. So let's do this. 13 minus 8 is 5. Learned that in school today. You guys didn't know I was in first grade. He's got the total height from the top of the frame to the top of the spoiler of 17 inches. Okay, so we'll have to go 5 off the frame. Okay. We're going to need an analog for the frame, so let's draw something. All right. We're going to make a new part here. What do we want this to look like? Let's just do a simple square. Does he give me the width of those frame parts? No. We're gonna guess again, because pretty good at guessing, apparently. Let's say that's 10 inches. We'll just make it square. We're gonna extrude this. It's not a real part, so we're just blocking it out. We'll go 1/4 inch on this. We're gonna call it frame and the lock. Boom. Again, feel free to spell check me in the chat, and don't ask about my underwear. Alright, dope. Oh, we're still in perspective mode. Yeah, I don't know why Solidworks hates my freaking mouse. I love it because it glows, you know? Apparently it doesn't glow anymore. Shouldn't have bought used gaming PC stuff. Okay. There's that. Alright, now we can actually start. This will be our... let's just make this dude the actual base of our entire assembly. So what we're going to do, we're going to unconstrain a lot of stuff we constrained yesterday. So this is the car. Boom. Whatever that's going to be. Oh gosh, I hate looking at origins. Alright, and then our spoiler is constrained to these planes, which we're not going to want anymore. We're going to keep the width. Okay. So if we're doing our math, we're 5 inches to the bottom spoiler, and then let's just move all these out of the way. Excuse me, senor. Oh, we locked them. We fixed them in place. We're gonna have to float these dudes. Boom. No, not you. And we're gonna turn off our shadows here. We are not in picture mode. We are in CAD mode. So the bottom cross member here, we're talking about sticking him 5 inches. Let me look at my dimensions one more time. Changed up the background music. I have 4 options now, so 3 to 4 off the top. Let's just go 4 because it's gonna get really tall. It's gonna get really tall. Is there anything? There's nothing on the back of the race car. Let's do the 3. Even though 3 inches is perfectly adequate, but in this case, it may be the right move. So we're gonna go to whatever the center of this part is. Remember, we're not really constraining these sketches yet. It's all blocking it out. It's like modeling with clay at this point. We're just trying to get shapes in there, represent some organic structure, and then we can start refining things. But we need to work with the information that we have. Dope. All right, that is gonna set the base for everything else. So the gray square is the car that is fixed in space. Now we have another component that's fixed in space, which is perfect. And once we get the distance between the upper, what am I calling this? The top cross member and lower cross member, because we couldn't have top and bottom, right? We couldn't have upper and lower. We have top and lower because I'm a damn fool. So top plane and top plane. We're gonna throw a constraint on that. He says 8 inches above that. Looks dope to me. We're already almost there. Dude, we are vibing on such the same wavelength. I hope this works out. So, but what I'm not in love with, oh, I had this other image. Let me see if I can get that up on the for the stream. So right before this, I was working on my Forerunner, which is a video It's like 4 hours long at this point. I was gonna chop it up into probably 8 30-minute sections, but it's kind of embarrassing. I was trying to do a little Stacey David walk around, chat with the camera type of vibe. Don't know if that's what I want to do. So, all right, here we go. That's good. But anyway, the Forerunner is a crazy project. You guys are gonna love that. I swapped. It's a 2nd gen 4x4 5-speed, and I swapped in a 3rd gen 3.4 liter, which is like the best Toyota engine, apparently, at least the best V6 according to people. But what do people know, right? Anyway, so ref 2. Dope. Yeah, the Forerunner was a passion of mine, but unfortunately, I think at this point, I'm just trying to get it going good enough to sell it for a good price. I have too many pots in the iron, whatever that. Okay. So if you can see on the second reference, we have these 2 black plates, which are much more visible, right? And okay, so that bottom cross member is actually pretty far back, which is interesting. What does that mean for us? That means we can start to constrain the location of that lower cross member in reference to the side plates, which are looking a bit fat now. I think that 10 inches needs to probably take a little chill pill. So where's our lower? From the front, let's go 5/8. 5 5/8. Donezo. Okay, so now we've got all these pieces are constrained to each other. It's like the lattice that we're going to use to build our spoiler upon. Yeah, if you can see in the second reference, it's got this other shape going on, which is pretty close to what we have, but maybe a bit more like this. I should probably look up an actual airfoil. Said I was gonna do that last time. Now the whole thing just looks too big. No, it's pretty much the entire width of the spoiler, but it's too close to the front. So what do we have constraining that? Let's kick that back a little bit. So we're at our 150. Let's go 250. Let's do 250's good, right? No, it's too close to the front still. Okay. For those of you watching, I want to know more about Formula One. If you know something about Formula One, please tell me. All I know is that while I was in Las Vegas for SEMA, they were setting it up, and they made a whole wreck out of the city. It was a nightmare to get around. So, who's big? Who's the best driver? Is Max Verstappen a Formula One driver? I don't know what he does. People seem to like him or they hate him. I thought he played chess, but that seems to be a different guy that looks just like him. Okay, this thing is way too narrow. It's actually too wide as well. 350. Dope. Playing with it. We're just having fun. There are no mistakes. Yeah, that dude is like right at the back. These swoopies. I think the bottom one is different. Let's make a new one for the bottom because it doesn't have the swooped air profile that the other two did. And I believe, if I remember correctly, that was 3 inches, which again is perfectly adequate. But we're gonna make this 250 because it looks smaller than the other ones. Well, I'll go 1/2 inch on that. And I'm just gonna save this as a sketch. We're gonna skip extruding it. We'll extrude it in the assembly. Just skip a step. Bottom rear slat. Boom. I name things so good. Spelling optional. So let's just delete that one. We don't need it anymore. Bring in our bottom rear slat. We can constrain it based on the planes alone at this point. So now we know it's directly centered there. We're going to edit this part. We'll go add a feature, extrude boss. Up to surface. Hot diggity. And the same for the other side. And now it has the same characteristics of our other slats here. Oh, and we get the added bonus of being able to make it red, which just helps with the visual cell. Perfect. All right. So we have, all we have is the right plane constraint. So what are we looking at? This dude's like nearly vertical. I would have so much like anger trying to actually put this through AirShaper or something and figure out if it's even a useful spoiler. I hope that it functions to a degree, but I honestly believe that this is going to be aesthetics only. Looks good to me. And then we're going to constrain off the origin to the back of the spoiler here. What that'll allow us to do, the origin is, since we're constrained in 2 other dimensions, the origin becomes more of an axis. So if we change the angle, it'll pivot about the origin. If we change the distance we're about to add here, it'll just push it forward and backwards instead of constraining it to any kind of planes. Gives us a little bit more freedom. So, oops, 1 and 5/8, 625. Yeah, I like that. We've got our vehicle. Oh, why are we constrained like that? We're gonna sit behind it, so. Oh, we have that coincident. Yeah, we need a dimension off the back. Let me look at our reference photo. I have no idea where those bars are in space. It's so cool of this guy to just reply to my random DM. I'm having fun with it. I got a new exciting project. Probably my open source project for 2025 is going to be a miniature version of the antenna that I work on at work. And I'll be using references that are available on the internet, and then kind of just designing everything on my own. What I would like for that to be able to do is actually track celestial objects similar to a telescope that you can buy called the Go-To telescope. So you search up an object and it goes to that object in the night sky for you, so you don't have to know how to read the stars and stuff like that. So I want to build an antenna that does the same thing, and I want to use it as a visual aid when explaining RF theory or antenna tracking properties, stuff like that. And I want to make it in time. It looks like I got about 14 days, so 2 weeks. I want to make it mechanically, probably not the tracking part, but I want to make it move and look like an antenna in time for career day at my kids' elementary school, because I think it'd be super dope. I don't know if they would agree, but I think other kids might think it's cool if I go in there and tell them what NASA is doing in the town that they live in. Alright, I'm getting tired of this nonsense shape that I've created, so we're gonna start using an actual airfoil. Is this a curve? It is. So I'm having to do it upside down, but the top has two curves, if we're being proper. A major and a minor. Don't know what that's called. And then the bottom side has a similar setup. Yeah, that's looking much better. Looking less like a whale. So the idea is, if you invert this, it's an airplane wing. So maybe we should just draw it inverted. Like, who the heck cares? We're making the rules here. We're vibing. be easier to visualize anyway. Yeah, see, the top of this is all wrong. It's all wrong for a actual airfoil. The front of it too. What's actually hysterical about this is I'm looking at a web page that generates airfoils for you, and instead of just using that, I'm pretending. But once again, this isn't. It's like chubby under here. What am I doing wrong? That's close enough. We're moving on. Okay, so these upper guys, their intention, I guess, is to... Let's look at a cross section of this. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut right through there. Boom. We're looking at our shapes and how they're stacking up in reference to each other. What happened here? Where are you going? Oh, we don't have a constraint for the vertical distance on this dude. I'm vibing with this music a lot more than what we had going on yesterday. She disappeared. There she is. Okay. So let's take a look at our two references. Our lower section could get the same airfoil treatment. Let's do the upper one though. That looks ridiculous. It's a lot closer than I thought it was. Still a bit chubby. This needs to be a finer point. I think I got an extra radius in here. Okay, and then the chub factor on this guy, we can bring it down. Oh yeah, that's looking much better. Still kind of funny. I don't know. It's not an airplane. It's barely a race car. It's barely a car. That thing needs some help. Alright, so I just made this tangent to the top edge, so it's constrained like that. In our second reference, that's exactly what it looks like. It's right at the top, but it just looks really ugly, and I don't know. I don't want it to go past when this begins to drop off there. I think that aesthetically is wrong. And form over function at this stage, that's not what I wanted. Do they have Waffle House where you are, wherever you're watching from? That's what I want to know. Because they do not have Waffle House here, which is probably a good thing, but it's also a sad thing. So there's probably a better way to do what I'm about to do, but I don't want a surface. I want a reference geometry. This is not for work, so this is for fun. We're gonna do it the easy way. So we're gonna use this plane that I just created to constrain this spoiler to never go past that breakover point where it starts being rounded off. And yeah, so that looks good. This upper dude is completely constrained. Our lower guy still can move around a little bit. Are these too large? Are these too big? I don't know. I do not know. I feel like the lower one and upper one are much closer together. In the second reference photo, you can see that there's a larger gap. Well, these two kind of overlap. So it's so funny to me. There's, millions of dollars spent in R&D on this type of thing, and I'm just going off whatever feels right. It would be hilarious if it actually performed. What would be terrible, and now I have a guilt about it, what would be super awful is if it hurt the performance of their race car. That would make me feel really bad. I should probably run some kind of tests. I don't think this version of Solidworks can do flow simulation. Doesn't look like it. I'll do some research. Let's set this up like our second reference. See if we're getting close. Excuse me, sir. Please hide your origins. Oh, let's turn off our, there we go. I think this one is angled down too low. Did we set an angle on that yet? No, I guess not. So let's just tweak it. Dang, that upper one, what does that look like? They're just barely out of parallel with each other. I'm gonna constrain this with a meet to the top there. 45. That doesn't seem right. 47.5 is not right either. 42.5. Dope. Love it. Okay. How are we looking here? These need to be more swoopy. Another thing I had to do today was move the 240Z out of the shop. And that made me sad because I just put it in there. Oh, I like that. I like the way that that's looking. Let's turn up our edges here. But yeah, I'm excited to get back on the 240. I have the engine bolted to the swap cross member, so we should be able to drop the 2JZ in with the 6-speed, and then wire it up. I'm going to work with a group called Perselis Motorsports Engineering. Can't remember. They built me a custom ECU for my Datsun B car, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I need a way to link this YouTube channel to my Autoholics Anonymous, because I did a whole build series on that thing, and I got some more stuff planned for that too, which will involve this channel, which is more my electronics nerdy stuff and less getting greasy. You know, got to keep those two worlds separate. People in the automotive scene start freaking out when you do CAD. They get all angry. And then people in the electronics scene get all angry when you start doing body work or working on engines. It's such a strange world we live in. But there are quite a few of us who live in both worlds, can do both of those things. But for the sake of continuity, I've separated those two aspects of my projects into two YouTube channels. So we restored the car over on Autoholics Anonymous, and we are going to use an ESP32 with a GPS module to drive a brushless motor to spin the original gauge cluster. What is that called? The speedometer cable, so that we can have all factory looking gauges, but with the modern information from our custom ECU and GPS speed, which is not dependent on tire wheel size, gear ratios, rear axles, and all that junk. It'll just be absolute speed, which is awesome. So we're gonna work on that a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if I want that to be my open source project or the antenna thing. I haven't decided yet. I do like the idea of the antenna thing. I'm just not sure how much of that I can actually do, because it does rely a lot on my knowledge from work, so might not be able to put a lot of that out there. Okay, check that out. Yeah. We're kind of getting the right shape going over here in this area. Yeah, this is looking more and more right. Let's set this up again like that. And then what do we think? Any feedback? Let's work on the shape of this lower one, since we're starting to figure out how to make airfoils. Oh, it's not that bad. We do not want that to be. There we go. Yes. Maybe I can simplify some of the other ones. Anyway. Yeah. That's right. But I think it's too far back. I don't know. It looks really far back in the reference photo. It's like right at the rear of the wing. But then how does this guy interact with that? It seems like it might be too large. So we have it at 2.5. Let's take it down. Take it down 1/2 inch. What do you think? 1/4 inch. Yeah, let's take this down too. See, if I'm gonna print these parts, it's better that they're thicker, but kind of starting to get concerned about the weight. Obviously it's a race car. You don't want things, well, it's there to create downforce, so maybe it's okay that it's going to be kind of heavy. I don't actually know how much it's going to weigh. We can estimate some of that if we add a material here. So let's go ahead and add I wonder if they do just have nylon. So we're up in here, and I guess the plastics. Delrin, nylon. I don't know. They've got nylon 610, which if I remember right is like the most common nylon. So we can see, ooh, we lost our color. That's not fun. There. We can see what that weighs if we go up to the evaluate tab. Mass properties. And we have 1.78 pounds on this part, which that's solid, and we're not going to do it solid. So I'd say we could probably save like 40% of the weight on that by doing like a honeycomb. They call it gyroid, I think, on the infill, which will, okay, let's turn on perspective. What do we think of this? This need to move further back. Let's move this further back. Let's make some changes to this shape here. I don't think it's got enough of a belly in this radius. The radius is fixed. It's like the only shape we've got with constraints on it. Let's just take them off. How's that look? Oh, it looks fat. I don't know, that looks pretty dope. What I wanted to do is add like a secret feature for them to discover, which would be a third brake light. But I think they just add those. I could add a. We could do a whole separate part, and that way if they don't want it, they don't have to add it, but it would bolt to the member, the structural member down here, whatever that's going to be. Yeah, this looks pretty freaking cool. What about from this perspective? That's looking all right, boys. I think we're on the right track here. Those dimensions really help. The width, he did 41 inches. Maybe there's like some rules about spoilers. Oof. Wonder what he's gonna race. He said Slush Fest? What the heck is Slush Fest? I hope that's not like... Oh. I now know what he's doing with this car. This doesn't matter at all. The actual aerodynamics does not matter at all. We are making a purely aesthetic reimagining of this spoiler. Dude, this thing's gonna get freaking trashed. Oh, that's okay. We're doing it for the LOLs, for the lols. Should we tilt this down? We've got an angle on it. So what we've got is a distance to this plane, which means we can't add an angle at this time. So we're gonna go from the origin to the lower cross member with our same dimension. Let's go to the origin too, just in case we want to change the angle of that. So we'll have that be 8 inches. Angry. What do we do? Doesn't like that. Doesn't like that. Oh. Okay. We need to bring back a constraint to this. And how did we have that before? Let's look at our notes here. 17 from the frame to the top. Is that what we want to continue with? Is that what we're looking for? So when we do this, what are we changing? Let's do a constraint from the bottom edge of the spoiler to the top of the existing frame. Is that ridiculous? Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. I'm not happy with that. Oh, I understand. We want this to be constrained to the top here. So we'll do it off the top plane and the origin of this. At 5 inches. At 5.5 inches. Yeah. And then we want to roll this dude. So why are we not able to do that? Because we have this dimension, which we'll go off the origin on the front here. At 350, perfect. So we should just be able to, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's too close to the top, no? Alright, easy peasy. Let's just go full 6. So, I would like to tell you a story. One time, when I was in high school, a buddy of mine who will be a recurring source of entertainment for this stream, for this channel, he came over and we hacked apart an ATV and a Sam's Club Yerf Dog go-kart. We took the whole front independent suspension, put that on the go-kart, and made it lethally top heavy. The center of gravity was a million miles in the air. So we took this go-kart that is originally like 4 inches off the ground, and we jacked that dude up with big old tires, 18-inch long springs, and that thing was, I think it had like 1.5 feet of ground clearance at the end. So he weighs at this time maybe like 90 pounds, and I'm probably, I don't know, 150 pounds at that point, maybe even a little bit more. And so we get in the go-kart and it's leaning to whatever side I'm on because the suspension is really soft. Obviously it's an off-road vehicle, but we get it going. We do all this crazy jack shaft and put a Predator 212 with a what do you call it, a Comet torque converter and reverse gearbox. This thing's gonna be like our off-road machine. We get in it and the tires immediately start going flat because where I live in the desert, it's just mesquites all over the place. So big, like 1/4-inch holes in the tire, not something you're gonna plug. They were full of plugs. They even had tubes and they were still going flat. So we want to test everything out. We want to make sure that the suspension geometry is right, that we have good steering. So we hop in this dude and pretty much just go flat full throttle, hoping to make it around the test track and back to the shop before the tires go flat. So we're probably doing like 500 miles an hour, and I'm passenger, and Ben takes a left turn and rolls the whole vehicle over onto my side. And I was wearing a seatbelt, but he was not. So we rolled, and luckily I didn't put my arm out or anything. I just kind of tucked in. We hit the ground and then slid on the roof. And when I opened my eyes, Ben was not in the vehicle with me. He was missing. And I was feeling around. The back of my head was wet. I thought I maybe, got a cut or something, but it was gasoline. And we didn't have a battery mount. We just had a bungee cord over a yellow top battery in the little luggage compartment of that. And so that thing was swinging and hitting against the frame next to my head, making big sparks. And it's like a movie. I'm hanging in there by my seatbelt upside down, and I can't see Ben anywhere, but the steering wheel is oddly like bent through the windshield area. And so I reach down and I hit my seat buckle, and boom, I fall down onto the ground. And then I roll over and I grab the battery and I start dragging it myself away from the increasing puddle of gasoline that's just spilling everywhere. And in that time, I'm like getting the bigger picture, and I can see the go-kart upside down off to my left here, and in the right, this like misshapen pile of clothes hanging from some branches of a mesquite bush, and it starts moving, and I realize that Ben has been ejected through the windshield of the go-kart and is dangling upside down in a cactus. His shirt's all torn off, and he kind of falls and stumbles out of there and immediately grabs his crotch. And that's when I realized that the steering wheel was bent by, his lower belt section. And I'm all torn up down the side. Something caught my shirt and ripped it off. So we're looking at each other, more worried about getting in trouble than if either of us are okay. So he hops into the driver's seat again. We flip it over, push it home, and absolutely play down the fact that we very, very nearly got ourselves killed, either through reckless driving or a giant fireball. And I don't think we ever got that thing going again. I think it set until it got sold. But if I remember correctly, it wasn't too long after that I got an abandoned shopping cart from behind the Albertsons next to my house, which is hilarious because the shopping cart that I got was from Walmart. And then I made a little one-wheel peel go-kart out of it. So we enjoyed that for a long time. I was even in a parade. It was a weird thing to drive a shopping cart, a couple miles down the main street of my city. I got interviewed by the news, and so I was fully expecting to see my shopping cart in the paper, but it never came out. And then I got to thinking that would probably spike some sort of crime wave, stealing shopping carts, if people saw that you could make cool go-karts out of them. So then that dude sat around. I think I pulled the engine off of it, and that thing sat around till it got sold. now I have another one of those Yerf Dog type go-karts. That I'm gonna build up for my kids. It's got, I think it's a 150cc engine, which is perfectly fine for them, with built-in reverse, which is something that I've never had on a go-kart. Always had to hop out, have somebody steer while you push it out of the bush that you just ran into. So that'll be exciting. I think they'll enjoy it. I hope they do. I had a lot of fond memories crashing off-road vehicles in the desert. Having to push them back. The bummer thing is that my house here is in town. And so to get to the desert, you gotta drive on the public roads, which is illegal and pretty dangerous. I couldn't send elementary school kids out to screw around in the desert with no supervision like I was, without them driving on the street. So next project, if I don't sell the 4Runner, I'm going to build a little trailer to pull the go-kart with. Then we can all go wheeling together. I got to sell the 4Runner though. I'm really liking the way this is turning out. I do think the bottom one could just be one of the upper ones. I don't know though. It's confusing me. In one reference photo it looks like it could, and the other reference photo it doesn't look like it at all. Okay, should we work on this brace that holds these in the middle here? You know what? These are too laid back. Both of them are. I have somebody in my life telling me that California Mexican food is better than New Mexico food. And I just don't know. I've never had California Mexican food. When I was in San Francisco, I did get like abducted by a dude who made dumplings. I think it was a restaurant. I hope it was. It kind of felt like a laundromat. But that was good California food. I don't know. Like I said, it wasn't Mexican food. Nah, this is the wrong way. But the food that they did recommend, I cooked it, and I'm obsessed. It was some of the best food I've eaten, and I made it myself. So I may default to what this person is saying about California Mexican. I know that New Mexican food is not Mexican food, but having grown up here, I'm quite fond of the sour cream and cheese that we put on everything. And now I'm starving. but I'm fasting for the weekend, so yeah, there we go. Check that out. Looks pretty dope. I wonder if that's supposed to be like a constant curve right there. It kind of looks like it. It looks really sick from the back. I just don't know on that lower one. Is it this shape? Is it the same shape? Oh, I bought this new chair because I really like these like round armchairs. But it doesn't support my back at all. So I have to sit up perfectly straight or I start to compress my spine. I can breathe better like this. Let's look at it from this angle here. I think this is too far back and too far tilted down, so let's adjust that. I don't understand attending a Formula One race, or for like that matter races where you sit in the stands and the race just zooms by you and then you wait 3 minutes. I don't get it. It probably would be cool, but I always think about like in Star Wars, whatever the episode 1, I guess, pod racing, all the people are just there at the start finish line and then the entire race is happening somewhere else. So like and then it's just on screens, you know? So are you just there for the beginning and the end, and the rest of the time you could have just watched it at home? I don't get it. But I've never been, so it could be super dope in person. I do like going to the drag races because, but you're just, again, you're there at the beginning. But I think that's different because you can kind of tell, well, you can see the whole race from where you're sitting. So and then like smaller road course races, you can see the whole race, which is cool. But like, I don't know, 24 hours of Le Mans and stuff like that, where maybe it's because there's cars constantly coming by. You're not just trying to follow the pack at the front. Maybe that's what the appeal is. Maybe I'll get to go to this race. Ooh. No. I'm trying to save money. I don't want to go to Slush Fest. I do, kinda, but I'd rather just... I don't know. If I'm going to Open Sauce again, that's going to be my whole budget for the year. I haven't put a project together for that. I think I submitted my application like 8 hours before it closed last time. Hang on, I need to go get a drink real quick. I'll be right back.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop, mind fried to a crisp, make an MC into a wide-eyed lunatic.
I already expressed my opinion about Olipop. This is juice. This is just carbonated juice. And it makes me feel like a child. But I'm trying to get off of the artificial sweeteners and, you know, refined sugars. So we're going to make it work. I drank half of this one yesterday in 2 hours because it is such a shock to my system that is used to a disgusting amount of caffeine and, you know, high fructose corn syrup. So, but you gotta train for it if you want it. Okay, we're gonna move on to, let's make sure we're saved here. Let's go ahead and start a new part for that fin in the middle of the white section. How do we want to do that? This is going to be sheet metal. I thought I added the sheet metal window to this. Give me 1 second. Workspace, toolbars, sheet metal. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't like the way that it's looking right there. Okay. We're gonna go off the right plane. And we're just gonna put a single 1/2 inch circle here. What that's going to allow us to do is bring in essentially a blank part. We're not going to extrude anything even. What do we really call this? These upper slats, I don't see any adjustability on any of this. This looks very fixed in place. So I'm not gonna design it adjustable because he's just gonna crash it into a wall or have someone else crash it into him. So we're gonna go solid upper blade support. Done so. Tropical Punch, Olipop, 4 out of 10. And that's not on Olipop, that's on me. They're doing fine. I just don't like it, but I'll get over it. Constrain anything? Yes. Okay, we got that right plane. Let's draw a part. Change the vibe up a little bit. I'm getting tired. I gotta go to work tomorrow, unfortunately. Part of what I do sometimes involves paperwork. I hate freaking paperwork. Give me a wiring diagram any day of the week, but do not have me fill out a buttload of the same form over and over again. Okay, so the front edge of this is just freaking straight. We're dope. Like, that'll work. I can't interpret the back of it very well. Let's just go and assume that it makes a cool shape, not a dumb shape. And then the bottom's just flat. It's gonna need to come down at an angle though. Okay, this is going to be sheet metal. We can go ahead and insert sheet metal base flange. And let's use an 1/8 of an inch again. That's perfectly fine. It's very strong. You'd be surprised how strong it is. Oh, is it fixed? No. Okay, I understand. What's happening? Oops, our control quitted it. You would be surprised how strong 1/8 inch aluminum is. You can do a lot with it. Aluminum. Doesn't sound right. Why is this being such a bear? Oh, did I accidentally? I think I made that concentric. We actually, this is in my way. We actually want that to be a tangent mate. Yes. And then we want the top face of this to also be tangent. And that should stick it out the back. Yeah. We need to reverse the alignment of the first tangent, which was wrong. So maybe that's not what we want. We'll figure that out in a second. On the front edge, how does that look? Oh, it just goes like in the middle, maybe towards the back even. It's not as large as I initially drew it. Okay. So what I anticipate doing as far as construction of this part, or this spoiler, is running a piece of all thread through every one of the horizontal members and having some nuts on the outside that lock everything into place. Big sandwich of plates and stuff. So let's see what we get with that. This thing goes almost all the way to the top, if not all the way. go ahead and put this, because it goes into the spoiler like straight. Well, I want to see what that looks like. I'm getting really tired all of a sudden. Might have to pinch this one off a little bit early tonight. I want this referenced to the top cross member. And then we're going to do the same for the front plane here. Perfect. And then on the back side, doesn't look right. Let's take a look at it though, kind of in context here. Yeah, that's a little bit swoopy. Is this just a triangle? Am I making this more complicated than it needs to be? I've been known to do that in the past. Should this just end in the middle of that up? Oh no, it goes all the way to the top. What are the constraints of this part now? Because I feel like, yeah, see that tangent right there? We don't want that anymore. We just want an angle in reference to this top cross member angle. 20 seems fine. So what we've pretty much done is locked in the geometry of the bottom of this situation. So let's just add some dimensiones. Trying to move this, constrain it to the origin. That way we can get some of these dimensions blacked up. Dope. Perfect. Let's get that to, what is it? So this should automatically kind of pop back into space where we wanted it. Oh, never mind, because we didn't constrain that in that way. So let's get rid of this angle. I think that angle was all we needed to delete, but we'll add it back now. No, we should add this off the global plane. That way, if we change the angle of our upper crust member, it doesn't move this part. No, because this does need to move this part, so. 15, too much. 14, 13. Oh, feels good. We're gonna edit the actual base flange of this. Like 25 degrees. Let's bring it up somewhere. And then I guess to change that length, we have to change this angle. Please be something reasonable. 46.75 is ridiculous. Wild. Okay, well, we're at 26 on the front, so let's take a look at it as a whole. We'll call it for tonight because I have to go to work in the morning. This is aluminum. Why is aluminum not a default option? Stupid. We're gonna use a 5052, which is cheap. 5052H32. And we're gonna paint it white. Don't forget to save your work, kids. Are we doing something here? Are we cooking? Does this look good? We're chilling. Let's get all our fancy things going on again. Shadows, perspective. What do you think? What do you think, my one viewer? Do you like it? Yeah. I think we're getting close. That bottom cross member is gonna have to be hella strong. Because there's nothing, or is there? Oh, am I seeing? Let's zoom in on this. I think there is a black cross member section that goes down below. Let me look at this car again. Guys, if you're just joining me, we are building a copycat spoiler of an actual F1 car for a Formula FD car. I'm also reviewing every flavor of Olipop and telling you stories about dangerous activities I did in high school with motorsports. Ugh. Orange squeeze. Not a vibe. Oh, I had to look that other picture up off my phone. What do you think? Does it look like it's close to our reference image here? I mean, obviously not with the color, but I think we're getting dialed in on our shapes here. Some really good blocking out of space. You know, I talked about early on how this is pretty akin to sculpting. We are not worried we're not worried about the function necessarily. It is a real race car. It's a real small race car, but it's not going to be used in the same context that the original is. So it really just has to look the part. It's going to be very well abused. Okay, I've got another image here that I'm looking at, and it's of the back, which is cool. So unfortunately for me, that front cross member doesn't even cut through these. That's so strange. So this shape here is wrong. And then there is no cross member from the top to the bottom. Sorry, there's no vertical member from the top group of cross members to the bottom ones, which sucks, because that means that all of the load of the, well, I guess the load of the fins is carried by the lower cross member. Yeah, it should be okay. We're gonna have to start talking materials here in a minute. Not like literal minutes, but coming up shortly. I don't know how the glass fiber, I'm planning on printing this in carbon fiber nylon, or maybe just carbon fiber PETG, people like that. And I think it's a lot cheaper. When I printed it at my previous job, we always ran into issues with it, like delaminating and stuff off the printer. So hopefully that doesn't happen. We've got a midpoint constraint on this, which we don't want. Please stop. That was really dramatic of you. Okay. This shape is gonna have to be cooler than I originally drew it, but not that cool. What the heck is going on with this bracket? I think there must be multiple versions of this spoiler because it doesn't look the same in all the reference photos. Like, how do you even do this geometrically? I've got to catch both of these fins at the top here, but I can't protrude from the back of them, and it needs to be just about at the top. Alright, we're gonna get another sip of this orange squeeze. What is botanicals? I thought that was a garden. I could deal with the orange squeeze, I guess. Tell you what was not a vibe was the classic cola. I think that's what it was called. It was disgusting. It might have been good like an ice cream or something. But I feel like that, like making a float out of it defeats the purpose of the Olipop. So I don't want the Olipop gods mad at me. Are we doing 2 curves? Is that really what we're doing now? Yeah, because we got to get out of this shape really early. What the heck is this? Oh, you know what? This is a curve in the other direction. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty dope part. I like to make things that look cool, you know? They can function, that's their secondary purpose, but I want them to look cool first. Which got me in a lot of trouble when I worked for the DoD. But it also made some pretty cool looking stuff, so. I guess it didn't really work for the DoD. I worked for a contractor for the DoD. In the private sector. I was a private employee. I'd like to be my own boss someday. I think that would be cool. Except I have like no ability to motivate myself when things are comfortable, so I'd end up hiring like a personal manager, and then it would just be like I work for somebody else anyway. Okay. We've got this upper one really nice. The lower one is not a vibe. I don't understand this bracket. It like physically can't exist the way that it does based off my 2 references, which is leading me to believe that it's different. Those references are not of the same spoiler. Let's see what we can do with a constraint like this. 2.25. Yeah, this is working for me. Let's see what that looks like in real life. Not bad. Ours is a little more artistic, but you get what you get. Yeah. We're gonna call it right there. So we'll do a save, and that's gonna be it for me. So once again, we are building a mock, a replica, a design inspired spoiler for a another YouTube channel. They just bought a race car and they're kind of fitting it out in this Marlboro F1 theme. And I offered to make them a better spoiler than the one that they had, which looks like it was made out of I don't know, some scrap 2x4s or something. But we're going to be 3D printing and CNC machining parts to create this spoiler. We're going to get some dimensions from the guys to make some mounting brackets for it. But what I will be doing in the meantime is just streaming my process, my progress, the way that I go about shaping things in Solidworks to make them reality, from just a couple reference photos. So I appreciate you being here. You guys have been a great audience. I've had a blast doing this, and we'll see you next time. It seems like I might be able to do this every other night, so look out for me Sunday. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later. Have a good night.